let's go to the political. Let's go to the political angle then. Let's go to the political angle then.
Because ultimately, his religion allows for the worst atrocities possible in humanity, and they're all halal. Slavery is okay. So he believes that.
Wait, let's go to the politics then. I said I'm going to address everything you said.
No, it's okay. Do whatever you want.
Now he's panicking. Now he's panicking because he didn't think I was.
I'd love to see you address
why, ladies and gentlemen, you're probably from America. You're probably from all around the world in Europe. You know the trigger for the protests. What's happening on the 13th of September with Tommy Robinson. You know all of these issues in the UK about migration stemmed from the Epping Hotel and what happened outside the Epping Hotel, right? Is that true? Yes or no? Yeah, everyone in the crowd said yes. Okay, what happened in the Epping Hotel? He doesn't want to go to it because the fact is, the guy. Tell me what happened in the Epping Hotel.
Well, ultimately, you're running from the original
points. I'll give you the. I'll let you guys know. Because he doesn't want to let you know.
He's running. Don't forget, earlier he was asking me about young Bob saying to send people home.
You're done
now
here,
he's run away from that conversation.
You
said I exposed the reason why people who share his ideology are a threat to English society, and now he wants to address it.
So, okay,
coward.
Everything, all the tensions that are happening.
This is great. This is great. I know. This is excellent.
Okay,
I love Tim.
All the issues that are happening today and in recent weeks is due to the Epping Hotel and what happened there. What happened there was a migrant harassed allegedly harassed teenage school children, right? Going up to them and asking if they want babies and stuff and the manner, allegedly, right? And then the far right have gone around protesting. And he's here as a Christian trying to turn the conversation. He mentions this and then he turns it back. So let's hear about this migrant, right? His name was Hadush Kebatu, right? And he is an Ethiopian, right? Which is nothing wrong with that. But the fact is...
Muhammad will have an issue with that.
Okay.
Call him a racist head, probably.
Hang on.
So nothing's wrong with that for regular people, but Muhammad would have an issue with that.
Okay, so what he says was, I am not a wild animal, I am a Christian, we don't... Okay, wait, hang on. It's fine. Okay.
They don't have an issue with them, but Muhammad does. Why did Muhammad not go there himself? He hates them raisin heads, man.
Hang on.
He hates them raisin heads.
Sorry, bro.
Do you know by the way? Muhammad believes that at the end of the day,
you're deflecting. He's scared now. He's scared now. Okay. So
you follow a man who hates you. Well done, man.
Okay.
But Christ loves you though.
So this Hadush Kebatu, who is accused of sexual assault in Epping, Essex, says he's not a wild animal. I can't do these things. I am a Christian. It is not in my culture. Silence. He's trying to paint all of these immigrants as Muslims who commit crimes against the people of the UK. He forgets the fact that the person who kicked off all of this was a Christian.
Prove it.
And he's trying to appeal to his Christianity.
Prove they're Christian.
Okay, prove they're Christian.
We know that Muslims can lie.
Okay.
So if a Muslim, for example, can lie by saving their skin, by claiming that they're a Christian, it's completely halal. Because the Christians are absolutely in jail. Don't forget, Christians, being a Christian inherently is not wrong, even within Islam. Okay. The Quran says that Christians can attain salvation. Even the Hadith say the same thing. So that man claiming he's a Christian is simply a way of galvanizing the Christian audience in the UK to show him sympathy. Very likely, if he was doing these activities, it's highly unlikely he was a Christian because Christians at least aspire to the principle. Whereas within Islam, that isn't the case. And what we do know, unfortunately, is that the majority of those who are being caught in these scandals related to immigration are always fighting age men. It's never the women. So I say, if this immigration is to continue from people who are from disparaged countries, who are economic migrants or even who are environmental migrants, prioritize women and children and not men like him.
What's up then? You're
just because this individual is a Christian and he has allegedly done something wrong, according to him, he can't be a Christian. He's clearly a Christian. He's from Ethiopia. His name is of...
Ethiopia is half Muslim.
Half Muslim, half Christian.
So,
but his name...
identifying if he's Christian or Muslim is going to be hard.
This is a no true Scotsman fallacy.
That isn't a no true Scotsman fallacy.
Himself identifies as a Christian. Like, he's just playing a no true...
Can a Muslim identify as a Christian to save their own skin? Can they? The answer is yes. Because in Islam you can lie. Yes, because he's hoping that if he says that he is a Christian, that will then galvanize the Christian audience in the UK. So again, I will repeat, only people who follow Muhammad will do this.
He's just being Islamophobic. I'm not going to address.
Islamophobia doesn't exist, by the way. It's a literal lie invented during the Bush era. So, what's the phobia? Okay, so please tell me a single psychologist. No, hold up. The word phobia is being used. Phobia is a fear, particularly an irrational fear. Please explain to me how you can be irrationally afraid of an ideology.
Targeting members of the community just because they have visual depictions.
That would be discrimination, not a phobia.
No, but because of an innate fear of the way they look, that is phobia.
That would that's impossible. Hold on now. I'm still on the migrant thing, but he's claiming that I'm being Islamophobic. Well, you're being Christophobic because you are advertising this country as a place where people should come and then establish Sharia law. So therefore, if that's what you're doing, and you're being Christophobic because this country is a Christian country and not one built upon Islamic principles.
So the fact
Carry on. I'm going to have fun with you today.
He's just running.
I'm going to have fun with you today.
He's running constantly because he's doing the no Scotsman fallacy. This man was allegedly committed his crimes. He was an Ethiopian Christian, and he
prove it.
I just showed you.
Prove he's a Christian.
BBC clarifies and quotes this exact man on BBC saying, "I am a Christian."
So if somebody says something,
this guy's word saying, "Oh, he's not."
If
so I'm going to go with the BBC, and I'm going to go with a guy from a historically Christian majority country with a Christian name saying he's Christian, or am I going to go with this guy here?
Ethiopia is a historically Christian country, but it's half Muslim currently, like Nigeria, so ain't so great. However, when it comes to his notion here, so whatever a person says about themselves is true. All right, and in that case,
ladies and gentlemen,
I'm just correct about everything I say, and therefore I have to be, according to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, this all originated from him interrupting me about a conversation which he actually agreed with me. He was playing a game. And then me retaliating by asking him about his buddy, young Bob, who comes to the park, who's associated with Turning Point UK, right, which is an offshoot of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organisation, and young Bob coming to here saying, "Send them all home," going viral on the far right. And this guy standing next to him, silent, looking like a dummy, because the fact is, they want to send him home too.
For as young as Young Bob and Turning Point USA are not advocating for child marriage, slavery, and the payment of Jizya, I say that they are fine to stay. However, people like Tay who want to advertise these things or advocate for them, I say they have no place in any civilized country. So, I doubt Saudi would accept them. I doubt Japan would accept them. I doubt even Nigeria would accept them. So actually, I don't think they're wrong in that regard.
Okay. So he made this claim. Turning Point USA, so the founder of Turning Point, which his buddy is a member of, Charlie Kirk, he recently, when talking about Zora Mandani, said uncivilized countries eat with their hands. Do they eat with their hands in Nigeria?
No.
Do they eat with their hands in Ghana?
No.
Well, that just shows me you have no idea about Nigerian culture.
Have you lived in Nigeria? I have.
Do they eat with
I ate with a fork and a spoon. I don't know about you though. I guess somehow Tay is an expert now at Nigerian culture. Gotta love it. So Tay is assuming that all Nigerians and Ghanaians eat with their hands. I
eat with your hand, right?
Or with a spoon, like I do.
Okay, but traditionally,
that's kind of racist.
Colonialism, and when the Western powers invaded these countries, they enforced their cultural norms. But traditionally, Nigerians and Ghanaians did eat with their hands, and they did eat rice with their hands. Is that true or not? Oh, silence!
Nope.
Silence. Okay, they did eat with their hands. Nigerians and Ghanaians, traditionally, according to their culture, pre-colonialism, ate rice with their hands. Now, we have a guy, Charlie Kirk, young Bob's dad, I don't know, maybe, he's going around saying that the cultures that eat with their hands are uncivilized cultures, and we, the West, are better than cultures that eat with their hands. Do you agree with that?
So, I doubt you quoted him accurately, but here's what we'll even do better. So, I do not care for Charlie Cook's opinions. He can have his opinions if he wants. So then, if the case is that that's the thing that offends him, well, I would like him to address the Islamic concept that he believes in of the House of Islam and the House of War. So he believes, according to his religion, that every place in the world that is not Islamic is in the House of War, meaning that we should go and fight every country that is not yet Muslim until they become Muslim. That's what you see in the invasion of Europe in the 700s, and that's what you see in the invasion of Africa even, from the medieval period downwards. So, if he's upset by the notion that uncivilized cultures eat with their hands, according to one random guy in America, I am heavily offended with the idea that he believes that right now he's at war with the UK because the UK is not predominantly Muslim. So, why are you at war with the UK?
I'm not at war with the UK. I'm a UK citizen.
Then you're not Muslim.
I have contributed to this country in the last 2 years more than he's ever done and is ever going to do in his entire life, right? I have...
Please tell us how.
I'm not going to tell you how.
Okay, fine, then no. So you're lying then.
No, I'm not.
Okay, well, prove it.
Why do I have to prove it to you?
Because you made a claim, so you're going to prove it.
Well, why do I have to prove it?
Because you made a claim, so evidence it.
Okay. Do you want me to evidence it?
Go ahead.
Fine. I have 5 years of working in the public sector.
So what?
So what have you done then for the government of the UK?
I have not promoted Islam.
Okay. And all you've done is just continuously reflect on the fact that your buddy, who is a member of the far right, and you are an ethnic minority just like myself, you continuously prop him up and give him a platform. All you Christian channels, you should know better than this. This man is a spokesperson for the far right, and by you pushing young Bob's agenda, you're furthering his platform. And at the end of the day, he wants to send me back on a boat, even though I'm from the UK and I'm a UK citizen and I was born here, and my family on my mother's side have historically had ties to the British throughout their history. Even though that, despite that, they want to send me home based on my race. They want to send him home based on his race. And the fact is, young Bob, you're his best player. So that's all I'm asking. Why are you promoting?
I'm not a tribalist like you are.
And also, sorry, let me just address the point about Islam.
Look at him.
Because he's saying that we're at war. First of all, this is textbook Islamophobia. All of you are Muslims that you're aware of, that you're friends with, that you have family members that are Muslim. You know those members are not at war with you. They might be your mothers, they might be your fathers, they might be your children. You know they're not at war with you. And dangerous talk like this is exactly giving the platform further to people like far right. Muslims, we want to live in peace, we want to integrate in the UK, we want to be model citizens for the UK. What? We want to be model citizens for the UK, we want to help the UK, we contribute to the UK, a massive portion of the UK is Muslim. And this hatred towards Islam and towards Muslims, especially the British Muslim minority,
this is amazing,
is because of foreign interference. And that is people like Elon Musk posting racist stuff on X, people like young Bob, his buddy, who's a spokesperson for a US hate organization.
This is amazing.
This is the reason why, sadly, this country is turning more and more Islamophobic. And sadly, it's not going to end there. The more and more it turns Islamophobic, the more and more it's going to start turning against the ethnic minorities. And as I said, he's going to be sent home on a boat to Rwanda, just like me, if he gets his way.
Great Mehdi Hassan talking point, by the way. So, the idea that supposedly Muslims aren't aware of the teaching of the House of Islam and the House of War is just a failure on the side of Muslims. But people like Tay know about it. And that's why people with that ideology shouldn't be here, or shouldn't be in any country that's civilized. That's why I say that's simple. If you went to Japan and claimed that you believed that you were at war with Japan, they wouldn't let you in. If you went to Nigeria and said the same thing, they wouldn't let you in either. So I think the notion of not allowing people into your country who want to destroy from the inside is perfectly reasonable. So his emotional argument towards Islamophobia doesn't exist. If that exists, then that means that I can say that Christophobia exists. And because Christians are always persecuted by Muslims, that means that Muslims are inherently Christophobic. Look at Egypt, look at Tunisia, look at Morocco, look at anywhere you have a Muslim, Nigeria, anywhere you have a Muslim majority country, or even a Muslim minority over 20%, they continuously harass, degrade, kill, murder, kidnap Christians. So that means that Muslims are inherently Christophobic, and zero Muslims ever call it out. Tay will never call out what's happening in Nigeria. He'll never call out what's happening in Egypt. He'll never call out what's happening even in Palestine to the Christians. He'll never call it out because he's a Christophobe. Okay, now, getting back to the idea of supposedly, no you can't, in your own turn. So, getting back to the idea of what's occurring with me apparently getting sent home with them, I am not an Islamist. I have come to the UK, and you know what? I respect their laws. I pay taxes, the whole shebang, and I don't advocate that this country descend into a hellhole where you can trade children as goods or where you can marry kids. I like the British system. It's all great. I have no issue with it beyond the obvious. He, on the other hand, wants to transform it from the inside to match a 7th century standard that nobody wants to live in. Alrighty, now it's getting emotional.
People don't. I'm not going to turn this into a religious discussion.
Ultimately, I am living with the politics and addressing it from a religious angle.
Surah 9, right? And Surah 9, the Christians like to point towards that as being anti-Christian, whatever. Surah 9 clearly states if the disbelievers incline towards peace, then incline towards peace also. So it's clarifying that Muslims...
the concept of peace in Islam is one of domination, where you are only at peace with them, never as equal citizens, but under the heel of Muslims. That's why you have the concept of Jizya.
You've been talking a long time. Okay.
So have you.
He's not going to let me talk. So in Ethiopia, which is actually where this migrant came from, Ethiopia and that region has long ties with Islam. We have, during the Prophet ﷺ's lifetime, many Muslims made immigration to Ethiopia because they had a righteous Christian ruler. And due to that, the Prophet advised Muslims to go to Ethiopia and seek refuge there, a small portion of Muslims, to go there and seek refuge due to the persecution they were facing in Mecca by the Quraysh. So, due to that, many Muslims fled to Ethiopia and they lived peacefully with the Christian there. And the Christian acknowledged Islam as being a religion of peace, and he let them thrive in their empire for a while. Some of them stayed, some of them returned. But that clearly shows you from the inception of Islam, there has been peaceful relations between Christians and Muslims throughout. And since then, there's been peaceful interactions between Christians and Muslims throughout both our histories. Now, one thing, I'm not Christophobia. I have family members that are Christian. I love Christians. There's nothing about me that is Christophobic. Is Christophobia a real thing? Is Christophobia a real thing?
Christophobia is as real as Islamophobia.
Okay. So you're saying both of them are real. So according to him,
it's as real.
According to him, as real.
As real.
Oh, look at this.
As real.
Talk. He's panicking.
It's as real.
Yeah,
you can panicking in my voice.
When extremist Hindus in the Indian subcontinent.
Now he's going for the Hindus.
No, I'm not going for the Hindus. I have friends that are Hindus. I'm just giving an example.
After that, go for the Sikhs too.
I'm not going for any
and then go for the communists at the end.
I'm here for unity, not disunity.
You're here for unity under Islam, where everyone's under your heel.
You're for unity?
So, an example, in any situation then, I'm not going to name India, I'm going to give any country where there are forced conversions of Christians. That is Christophobia. I'm going to call that out. Whether that be in Nigeria, whether that be in India, whether that be in any Muslim country, I'm going to call that out as Christophobia. The fact is, I just said...
And you won't do it.
I just said I'm doing it.
You'll never do it again.
I said I'm doing it.
All right.
In North Nigeria, where there are Muslims that are forcefully converting Christians, I'm against that, and I'll call that out as Christophobia. The difference between me and him is I'm for unity, and I'm out for calling out any form of extremism. He's not, because he's not willing to call out extremism against Muslims, but he's happy for me to call out extremism against Christians, and that is double standards. And let's see if he can call out any instance of extremism against Muslims.
Extremism against Muslims for him is disagreeing with Islam. That's extreme for him. Why?
No.
Because his prophet told everybody that if anybody leaves the religion, kill them. So maybe if I don't agree with an ideology that's that insane, maybe I'm not being phobic to a people, but I'm having common sense. For example, Nazism isn't a great idea. I don't quite like Nazism. It's not like a vision for life or a vision for like a society that functions. I'm not really Nazi-phobic. I just have common sense. In the same capacity, if there is a tradition that is espousing Nazi ideology, propping up certain people above others, making people able to be killed and enslaved for not paying a tax because they follow a certain religion, I can hate that idea as well and not be phobic. Now, back to his earlier points. Apparently, the Christians and the Muslims have always had good relations. Well, when it comes to what occurred with the instance of Muhammad going, Muhammad's followers going to Ethiopia, they didn't actually go there and say what he said. They went there and lied about what Islam is, and because they lied about it, the unnamed emperor apparently was the one that accepted them and let them live there. Now, this story is likely fictional because, for example, even their own traditions can't tell you the name of his emperor. So because you can't tell the name of the emperor, it likely didn't actually occur. It's not a real person, more like an archetype. And let's recount the instance, for example, of the first Mubahala. The very first instance of Muhammad summoning the curse of Allah against any individual was against Christian monks that refused to accept him as being a prophet. So to say that Muhammad and his followers like Christians, or that Islam and Christianity have always been friends, that's never been true. From the very onset of Islam, it's always been against Christianity, against the message of the cross, against the idea of our tradition, and against the idea of Jesus. So actually, we've never been unified, we'll never be, but we can under Christ alone. Amen.
Okay, so he's giving a very spurious version of history that is absolutely not true. I'm giving you sources, I'm giving you actual examples from early Islamic history that shows how Muslims and Christians can coexist in peace.
What's the emperor's name? What's his name?
Okay. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Caliph, second Caliph.
That's not Ethiopian.
The leader of the Muslims after Abu Bakr and Muhammad, he went to Jerusalem. He led the Muslim army to Jerusalem and took Jerusalem. When he took Jerusalem, they had the most, in Jerusalem, there is the most holy site Christians, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. When he was welcomed in to Jerusalem as the new leader, he was asked by the Christians to come and pray in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. What did the Caliph do? Umar ibn al-Khattab, Allah be pleased with him, he said, no, I'm not going to pray in your church because if I pray here, Muslims later on might misinterpret this as a good place to build a mosque. So I'm going to pray outside the church and show you guys respect. You're going to be respected in my city. You're going to be respected. You're going to be treated well. You're going to be treated. Minorities in that city. The Jews were expelled from Jerusalem when the Prophet's companion conquered it. They were invited back to Jerusalem. So this story not just shows that Islam existed with Christians, it also shows Islam has existed with Jews in peace in multiple times in Islamic history. The other thing is, to this day, Muslims hold the keys to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So the most religious side of Christianity, the keys are held by Muslim families. So that just shows you that Muslims and Christians can coexist in peace. This guy is no better than his far-right, white ethno-nationalist buddies because the only difference between him and them is he's not white. So he can't name me a single instance of anti-Islamic behavior, anti-Muslim behavior, because he agrees with every single anti-Muslim behavior. He still can't name me one. And you guys are family, friends, even if you're not Muslim, you guys are family, friends, work colleagues, people in your society and neighborhood that you get along with that are Muslim. And you know in your heart of hearts that any unreasonable behavior against them is Islamophobic or it's discriminatory. And he can't give me some
I wish I had a violin. So, amazing emotional arguments. It's trash, however. Now, when it comes to the history, apparently, of Islam and Christians, I love this guy. You know why? Earlier on, he mentioned that colonialism is bad and colonial influence is bad. This guy is trying to tell me that when Umar...
Thank you so much, David.
Oh, thank you.
His buddy's done with it.
This guy's trying to tell me that when Umar conquered Jerusalem and colonized Jerusalem, that he was doing Christians a favor by not praying in their church. Okay, in the same capacity then, when the Europeans conquered, for example, India, they were doing them a favor by not destroying every single temple they had. Nonsensical. So if all that happened here was that Umar apparently wouldn't pray in a certain church, that means nothing. Ever since Jerusalem has been conquered by Muslims, they were ousted from Jerusalem in the time of the Crusades, and even now today, there are less Christians there than there were potentially in a time before Muslims attacked. So ultimately, all Islam has done in Jerusalem is make it a worse, more oppressive place for Christians throughout history. Christians never thrived in Jerusalem under Islam. Name me one instance. Doesn't exist. Christians live as second-class citizens, and even in some instances, had to petition to be allowed to wear shoes. Because Jizya and being a dhimmi institutes that you as a Christian have to be a second-class citizen, even if it's in your own country, like the Christians who lived in Jerusalem at the time.
Okay.
So, if he is espousing an idea that supposedly we should adopt this and be unified with an idea that dehumanizes people, that makes people to be on the same level as animals, that is not something that is welcome in any country, European, African, or Asian. Therefore, if somebody holds that idea and they're agitating to get that idea instituted in some country, I have no problem at all with them being removed.
Okay.
Lastly,
my religion. No, you get time.
You mentioned something racial. So, Tay sees the world from a racial lens. As a Christian, I do not. I am colorblind. We are all one in Christ. He's of the assumption that he can somehow sway me to his position by claiming
I don't want to sway you.
that if Islamists are removed, the next target will be black people. Okay,
you're a lost cause, bro.
And black people are not the same thing. I don't know if you know that. Islamists, I'll say it again, Islamists and black people are not the same thing.
All right.
Black people are not here agitating for the country to be turned into a 7th century hellhole. But Islamists are.
Notice how he hasn't given a single instance of anti-Muslim behavior. Notice how he hasn't given a single example of anti-Muslim behavior because he agrees with it all. And he's still not giving any example of anti-Muslim behavior because he wants to hurt us all. He wants to get rid of us all. He's just said it. He said he wants to send us all on a ship back. Now he keeps pointing. He keeps pointing to the minorities. He keeps pointing to. I let you talk. I let you talk. I let you talk. You don't want me to talk because I'm exposing you.
Well, you're losing your voice.
See.
And all you can do is arguments.
Okay. He wants to talk about Christian minorities in Muslim countries. Sure, there has been elements of persecution throughout history. I'm not denying that. But the fact is, there are Christian minorities that exist in Muslim countries. Let's see the other side. Look at Europe, and let's look at Europe before the Renaissance. An entirely Christian continent. What happened to the minorities in Europe? There was a period. There was complete subjugation of any non-Christian in Europe. Complete persecution across the board of any minority in Europe that was not Christian. Whether they were burnt in the witch trials, whether they were burnt here just because they were a heretical Christian, they were burnt at the stake here, where we are right now. Whether they were in Latvia, minding their own business. Latvians, the people of the Baltics, for those of you who don't know, the Baltics were not Christianized as fast as the rest of the Europe. So the Baltics were a pagan region within Europe. What happened? The Pope called for a crusade against the Baltic states. He called for subjugation of the people there and for forced conversion to Christianity. So the reason why before the Renaissance there were no minorities, no non-Christian minorities in Europe is because they were all killed, forcefully converted, or discriminated and persecuted to the point where they had to leave the continent. So it's a bit rich from this Christian extremist to be telling me about Muslim countries and the persecution in Muslim countries when his continent that was completely Christian at a certain point of time when they shared the same fundamentalist viewpoint as he does today, back then they eliminated all minorities altogether. And the fact is, notice how he still doesn't call out any anti-Muslim behaviour. I believe this is illegal and against our government's policies. And on top of that, also, the fact is that you're just furthering the point that, you know, people like him, fundamentalist extreme Christians of his viewpoint and of his persuasion, are calling for the subjugation of Muslims like me and like your family members, your friends, your brothers and sisters. And I just want to clarify, I'm not anti-Christianity. As I said, I have admiration for many things in the Christian tradition. I have admiration for many figures that are Christian. I'm not anti-Christianity, I'm anti-his Christianity.
Luckily, in Christianity, we don't call for anybody to be subjugated. Like I said, all are one in Christ. Muhammad, on the other hand, called for Christians and Jews to live under a state where they would pay a tax for being Christians and Jews. So I would say that's not a good idea. So therefore, and by the way, this Islamist over here is doing the exact same thing, the exact same thing that all Islamists do. All they can ever do to criticize Christianity is to point to small instances of skirmishes in the medieval period. But they can't point to anything in the modern period. Keep quiet. They can't point to anything in the modern period. All they can do is refer to 500, 1,000, 1,500 years ago. Whereas today, in the year of our Lord 2025, you have instances where Christians to this day are still being persecuted. Like I said, kidnapped, burnt alive, beheaded. Where? All across Africa, all across Asia. And he never calls them out. So, keep quiet. So, because of what's going on here, it is very clear that the impetus for why this happens within the Islamic world is because of the examples of their caliphs and of their prophets. Colonizers, people who went around the world colonizing, subjugating, murdering, and killing other individuals simply because they didn't agree with worshipping their God. Notice, by the way, 3 times he interrupted me. So when it's his turn, I'm going to give him 3 times to interrupt him. Keep quiet. So when it then comes, see, as you can see, he's panicking. So because he's panicking, he realizes that his tradition is an evil tradition. It's one that calls for people to be killed, subjugated, and beheaded for simply believing in something other than what they believe in. Christianity, on the other hand, allows for diversity. It allows for you, for example, to retain your ethnic identity and still be a Christian, because all that combines us is our joint belief in Christ. Islamists like him, for example, only want to Arabize everything. You must pray in Arabic, read in Arabic, have Arabic everywhere around you, because all they are Arabic supremacists. So he is an Arab supremacist, and all he cares about is promoting Arabic culture and nothing whatsoever about anything European or anything British. He despises European culture because it's antithetical to Islam. What he wants to achieve here is to espouse an extreme form of Islam that basically allows him to own slaves and marry kids. I say that's not a good idea.
Okay, so guys, he's talking about colonialism. I just gave you an instance of colonialism in his
There's no bigger colonist than the caliphs and Muhammad.
Okay, let's just read.
That's one. I'm going to do 2 more.
He consistently says, I don't call out behavior which persecutes Christians. I have. Any behavior in North Nigeria where...
What behavior? Call it out specifically. Call it out. What's happening there? Tell me a date, a time, an event, something, nothing.
Extremists
you haven't got anything.
In North Nigeria that are persecuting and killing Christians, I call it out. Whether there be whatever group.
But right? That's what Muhammad did.
He's not willing to do the same.
All right.
And he's saying there's no Islamophobia. He's not willing to call out any group that persecutes Christian Muslims around the world. Does that not show you he's an extremist?
Okay, you're right. I call out Al Qaeda. I call out Boko Haram. I call out Hezbollah. I call out ISIS. I call out the only groups that I'm aware of that persecute Muslims are Muslim groups. There you go.
What about what's happening in the state of Israel right now? Right. So anyway,
what's that to do with persecuting Muslim groups? Exactly. So in every country, wherever you have Islamist Muslim groups, they are the ones that persecute Christians. For example, who is the number 1 victim? Say, for the cameras, who's the number 1 victim of Islamist activity? Muslims. So Hezbollah, I'm calling you out. ISIS, I'm calling you out for killing Muslims.
He's against colonialism, unlike me. Whereas, what is he talking about? I was talking about Nigerian tradition, and I was talking about the fact that they eat with their hands. And he was talking about, no they don't, they eat with a fork.
He's the expert in Nigeria today.
That was a result of colonialism. So he's denying his own tradition because of colonialism.
Who said that was a tradition?
So anyway, he's not willing to call out any anti-Muslim behaviour by any group that is not describing themselves Muslim. So that shows.
No, now you've changed this.
No.
I see. So now he wants you to call out Muslim groups that persecute. No, sorry. He wants you to call out non-Muslim groups that persecute Muslims. Very interesting. I just want to know one thing. Why can't I call out Muslim groups? Because in his religion, he believes that you're not allowed to call out Muslims for what they do. I am not an Islamist. I'm a Christian.
Across the UK, Essex, everywhere, and he's been followed by clearly white nationalist crowd. This whole situation stemmed from Epping Hotel, and what happened there? That was because of an Ethiopian migrant that came to the UK and allegedly harassed Christian women, Christian girls, young Christian girls. And what was his defense in court? His defense, according to the BBC, was, I am not an animal, I am a Christian, I don't do these things. So the man who did this was a Christian. A man who abused young Christian girls allegedly in this country was a self-proclaimed Christian. His argument was no true Scotsman fallacy, that he can't be a Christian because he did something bad. We all know he was a Christian. On top of that,
how? Because he said he was?
His extreme fundamentalist version of Christianity is not compatible with the UK. It is not compatible with the UK. Let me give you an example. If that disgusting migrant,
thank you.
Any migrant, any
I'm gonna use that real quick.
that abuses any young girl in the UK, if they unfortunately succeed and do.
So he's still yapping. All right.
Unfortunately impregnate.
This has been about 4 minutes.
If they impregnate the woman that they abused, that woman, according to him, that poor young girl that has been sexually harassed to the point where she's pregnant,
he's trying to run. He's trying to run. All right, cool.
According to him, that woman should keep the baby.
All right. He's trying to run.
If that migrant sexually abuses that woman again, according to him, she should turn the other cheek and keep the next baby.
Right.
Keep the next baby. Keep the next baby.
Okay. So this is very, very interesting. So Tay has made an argument. So his argument for why we should allow more of these economic migrants to come in who are of male fighting age is so that they can impregnate European women? That's a very weird argument. That's what I'm going to say. So if that's what he wants, then again, that is why Islamists do not belong here. They think like he does. So, getting back to it, when it comes back to the idea, it's my turn. When it comes back to the idea that supposedly Islam is not a colonialist religion, well, he needs to answer how exactly it is the case that within Islam, you're basically supposed to go out and colonize the entire planet. And when the planet is colonized, everybody can then pay jizya to the states. Even historically, there have been instances where even in the Ottoman Empire, they stopped people from being able to convert into Islam from Christianity to ensure that they were able to then make sure that they could collect jizya. So, over here, all he is doing is supposing that because the person says something, aka the man at the hotel said, I am a Christian, therefore he is a Christian. Okay, if it is true that supposedly whatever anyone says is the truth, then whenever ISIS or Hezbollah or any of the other extremist groups does anything and claims that they are Muslim, then that means that they are indeed Muslims and he cannot claim that they're not. Because according to him, whenever a person says something about themselves, that thing is true. Now, very lastly, he is trying to make an argument for why apparently Christianity is bad and Islam is true based on abortion. Well, this is even better. This is where the extreme left and Islam coincide. Both groups are into child sacrifice. Both groups enjoy killing children, and both groups think it is okay to then murder kids and throw them away. Christians support life, but he unfortunately supports death. That is the reason why I cannot in any way back up anything he's saying or follow anything he is doing. Because if people are obstinate to the idea of going down this route, where across the UK we are following traditions that allow us to kill kids, allow people into the country who don't have the best interests of the country at heart, also establish a rule of law whereby which your value as a human being is determined by your ethnicity, your sex, and also which religion you follow, I don't think that idea belongs in the UK. And I don't believe anybody who is from the UK would think that is a good idea, or that that teaching is in line in any way with anything that the UK holds as valuable. So, as you can see, guys, he's panicking, I'm standing still, he's been losing his voice for the last 10 minutes, and I'm over here and I'm happy. Why? Because I am standing with Christ, I am standing on the truth, and what he wants is to silence people and not let them have an opinion. Because Islam is anti-free speech, and his version of Islam is exceptionally anti-free speech, to the extent where they wouldn't allow the truth to be told by anybody. So, if the truth is being propagated, he is against it. He is more so looking to cover lies or espouse lies. That is why I do not believe that those people who support this ideology of jihadism or Islamism should be in any civilized country. If you want to be in a country where you want to go down and go to hell, then absolutely go with that idea. But as I understand it, most countries are interested in developing and improving and actually going higher. Islam doesn't support that, and neither does what he is doing. Right, but then he was okay to come here and claim that Christianity is extremist and that it's far right, and that supposedly we're trying to deport people who are immigrants. No, he doesn't, because he doesn't call out anything that goes on in any country in the world. And when I called out what happens by Islamist groups in Islamist countries, he then wanted me to then turn it into a different category, where I would only call out activities that were being done by non-Muslim groups. So because he is for when things are done by Muslim groups, even when they are oppressing Christians and Muslims, he's happy with that. But what he's not happy with is when I call out what Muslim extremist groups are doing to other Muslims. This man is on the road to being a full-fledged propagandist. So, people, in summary, Tay unfortunately has lost his mind. He has been fully transformed into a propagandist. It seems that in the absence of YB, everyone lost their mind today. Tay lost his mind and Hamza lost his mind. YB, for a young guy, he's done a lot in the corner. To recap, Tay is basically making the case that YB is an extremist who is for the deportation of all non-white Europeans within the UK. Well, I can't speak for YB, but even if YB held that opinion, that clearly wouldn't be accurate to his position. What YB and I hold is that, and everyone else should hold the same thing, if there's anybody in your country who is attempting to espouse an idea that is anti the foundation of your country, why would you keep them there? If anybody did the same thing in Saudi, they'd be deported. If anyone does that in America, they are deported. Why is the UK any difference? So Islamists like Tay are simply interested in establishing a society whereby which your value, like I said, is determined by three things: your gender, your ethnicity, and your religion. I don't think in any way that coincides or collaborates with English culture. That is about tolerance and acceptance. Those concepts do not exist under whatever Tay is trying to establish in this country. So, if these people are obstinate and incompatible with the culture in Britain, I would say anybody who supports the idea of instituting slavery should not be here. What do you guys think? I think that's pretty reasonable. If anybody anywhere goes anywhere in the world propagating slavery and child marriage, I don't think they belong in that country. Unless the country is accepting towards slavery and child marriage, which on the other hand, I wouldn't want to live in anyway. Anywho, Tay, come to Christ, man. Stop being insane. And actually, oh, by the way, the last thing I found out was very, very funny. Tay said that I have not called out Muslim violence. I said, okay. I call out ISIS and Hezbollah and the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas and every group that propagates evil upon unsuspecting or innocent Muslim families and peoples. Tay changed his request. Give me a non-Muslim group who you denounce for abusing Muslims? I can't think of any off the top of my head. But okay, fair enough. It's interesting that when Muslims and Islamists are harming other Muslims, he doesn't care. But what he cares about is when non-Muslims are doing it. That is the mark of an Islamist. They only operate by double standards, and they get very erratic when you call them out, which is why he got very erratic and ran away. Do not buy their nonsense. It is not cogent in any way with British society. This is a Christian country. We operate by Christian values. That is why people want to come here in the first place. Notice, countries that either are influenced or operate under some influence of Christian values are more desirable than those that do not. It's that simple. Maybe, I could be crazy, but maybe Christ was right. Maybe he is the Prince of Peace. Maybe following him does bring prosperity. But hey, the proof is in the pudding. I'll leave it at that. All right.